Hey there. Isn't that cool? I just tried a new video, so I just wanted to see how it works. If you saw it and you liked it, give me a thumbs up and let me know. If you're new to my show, it's been a while since I've been on, and I apologize. But just to give you an update, we're in a little bit of a growth spurt. So I hired two new people, and I have been just like trying to do my job, trying to train and trying to manage the team I had. So it's been a new evolution because I'm training remotely and it's just crazy. But anyways, who am I? If you're catching me for the first time, I am Kat Ramirez, CEO and founder of Advertise and hashtag Social Buzz. And I am live today and I have a special guest. I'm so excited to bring him on and want to be able to share his story with you and how he can help you or your company. If you have problems or you're experiencing anxiety or people that have anxiety. And so Michael is my guest, and he owns, his business is he's a consultant for his official title, as I wrote it, is PTSD trauma resolution expert. And let me bring on Michael. Welcome, Michael. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I want to make sure that okay, good. I have to make sure that I have the brands and stuff, because what I want to make sure is if anybody is watching it today, I want them to leave a comment and have questions for you. Okay. So anybody has questions, please drop the line and we'll ask them as we move along. And so introduce yourself, give us some background.
Sure. My name is Michael Cortina. I provide brain optimization processes to help people achieve peak performance and emotional wellness. I offer this brain-based insight in the form of masterclasses to businesses who are looking to invest and develop their people so that there's value both internally within the company and externally to customers that they're serving.
Okay, that's awesome. So can you give me some background of how you got into this? I mean, you obviously had a previous life, right?
Sure did. Yeah. So by traditional training, I'm a traditionally trained therapist.
Okay.
My bachelor's in psychology, my master's in social work. I got licensed at the highest level of licensure by a couple of states, and was practicing traditional therapy for years, over a decade, and was just not happy with the effectiveness or lack of effectiveness, quite frankly, of what was happening. And if you look at the research out there, the rates of are not real promising for outpatient psychotherapy. And I wanted something more for the people that I was serving. Not only that, but when there was success, it took much longer than I would have liked, and people had to relive or re-experience pain. If I was helping people in the area of trauma and PTSD, they had to relive and re-experience and talk about the pain all over again.
Wow.
And we were going through like rainforest worth of Kleenex in my office.
Wow.
And I was fed. I was actually going to pivot. I was going to get out of the field because I just wanted I wanted to serve people better.
Yeah.
And I found out about this incredible healing methodology out there called rapid resolution therapy. And I was hearing how they were having transformative results in as little as a single visit. And I was both intrigued and I had healthy skepticism at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of research to the point where by the time I walked into my first training, they said, "You're Michael Cortina."
Oh, how cool.
You get the award for most research ever before coming to one of our trainings. They knew I was checking into things.
Yeah.
So I had healthy skepticism. Anyway, blew my mind away. What I saw was just absolutely amazing. And I pivoted. It changed my entire life personally and professionally.
Yeah.
And that is what I offer now. And what
Okay.
I'm.
Okay. So I always ask this to everybody that I have on my show. How has this pandemic affected your business?
It's affected it from the standpoint in terms of the style of delivery. So where I used to meet with people in person, now I'm meeting with people over telehealth
Yep.
and providing services this way. I was pleased. It was um, ironically fortuitous and in a strange sort of way that I actually started to provide a couple of these visits right prior to the whole thing blowing up with this pandemic.
Mhm.
This was because people were far distances who wanted to meet with me. So started to provide it right prior to the pandemic and was so relieved that the outcomes were just as effective. And so have continued to move forward in offering it in that format.
Right, right. And so I guess I can see the value of your company and what you do because when I'm talking to business owners, I can feel the stress and the anxiety. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's beyond business owners too. It's also their families, you know?
This thing is so prevalent. I mean, you hear in and the news isn't doing a bang up job of, they're doing a great job of continuing to heighten anxiety and fear.
Right.
Um, but the ripple effects of this are going to be extraordinary, and we're already seeing some of it. It doesn't get as much press as some of the other sensationalized stuff, but domestic violence has gone up,
Yep.
child abuse has gone up. Of course, we hear about this one. Unemployment has gone up,
Yep.
um, and anxiety, uncertainty, fear. It's really escalating, and to your point, it's affecting business owners on multiple levels. They're concerned about their business, their families, their employees, their teams, their people. And it's kind of like how to navigate all of this uncertainty and change in what's happening out there while trying to keep the business afloat and keep people employed. Oops. Hello? Did we freeze up? Hello? I'm not sure if I'm still on or not. I'm not hearing Cat or seeing Cat. And I'm wondering if we're still on. I'm not sure if I'm still on or not. I'm not hearing Cat or seeing Cat. And I'm wondering if we're still on. Okay, I'm going to. I'm not sure if I'm still on or not. I'm not hearing Cat, seeing Cat. I'm going to message Cat. Oh, somebody. I just pulled up my cell phone. It says, yes, you are on. We can still hear you. Okay. Hello. Thanks, Alexandra. Um, this is interesting. Let me try to message Cat or I guess see if there's any questions in the meantime that I can try to answer. Let's see. I'm trying to send a message to Kat right now. Okay, so I see Alexandra asked, how do you help people shape their careers? I'll try. I'm not sure exactly. I'm interested in understanding exactly what you mean by that. In the meantime, what I'll offer is this, is that most times when people are connecting with me, it's related to mindset, right? I mean, the most um, valuable real estate in the world is right there between our ears. And so many times when people are coming to see me, particularly for my services as it relates to career, it's could be because of a number of things. Either they're dealing with some problems at work existing already, and they're wanting to get some ideas of how to best handle that, and how they can kind of optimize their brain and update their mindset for maximum effectiveness and performance. And the other thing is when people are looking to level up and maybe take that next step in their career, that they come to me to get their mindset optimized so that as they pursue that next step, that forward leading goal, then we have everything ready to go on a brain based mind perspective. Hey, Kat, are you back?
You did good to keep going.
I was like, I'm not sure what.
You did good. That's awesome. I came back and I was like, what the hell just happened? But I'm so glad you took charge. Thanks, Michael.
No problem. No problem. There were a lot of long pauses there, probably awkward pauses, but I was just trying to grab my phone and figure things out.
Okay. Well, you survived and you stayed on. I think Corona hit my computer.
Yeah, new computer virus too, right?
It's like when, do you remember when El Nino hit or whatever it was? Do you
Yes,
remember that? And
yes.
everybody blamed it on El Nino. I blame everything on Corona.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
My food was undercooked. It's Corona.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, so I'm going to help you out now because I'm back.
I was just answering Alexandra's question
Oh,
there.
awesome! Awesome. Okay, so you see the comments there.
Well, I pulled it up on my phone. I don't. Yes, I have
Oh,
my phone here. I don't see it on the
oh,
screen.
okay, okay, awesome. Okay, so what was the question?
How I help people shape their careers. Oh, and it looks like she has a follow up question here. So the question was how I help people shape their careers, and I was responding to that. My methodology, which looks like her follow-up question, is rapid resolution therapy is my primary methodology.
Yes. So Kim, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And again, I'm sorry for my little lump. But just a reminder to everybody who's watching, please drop some comments. Leave your comments because Michael is here to answer any questions you have. And don't tell me that anybody who's watching does not have any anxiety or stress going on, because I know the groups that I follow, that's what I hear constantly over and over and over. And the way people are dealing with stress and anxiety, it can be productive or non-productive. And I've seen a lot of non-productive stuff going on that really just buries it as opposed to try to work through it, right? And I don't know if you are seeing that too, Michael, or you hear that from people.
Oh yeah, well, among some of the things I was mentioning earlier, the other thing that has been going through the roof is alcohol sales.
Yes.
And so there you go. There would be an example of a non-productive way of dealing with it, and that's certainly on the increase as well.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, are there things that people can do to identify PTSD, to identify trauma, I mean, because like here's the reality is we're all in denial. We are.
Yeah, there's it's I don't know that it's fully, to your point, settled and processed
Yeah.
for people. I mean, it is obviously for some people, but for so many others, not so much. And it's really first thing to that. That's a great question. So the first thing that comes to mind to say to that is understanding this is that PTSD trauma is not exclusively reserved for veterans and military. A lot of times when people think of PTSD and trauma, they think military, they think veterans, and certainly while some of our men and women in uniform have experienced PTS in the veteran community, we call it PTS, um, and they have experienced this, it also applies massively to civilians as well.
Right.
And so um, I think of it like this. I think of it, if there's anything that's showing up in my mind as what I would call a preoccupation, things like anger, shame, blame, fear, guilt, um, anything anything that happened, whether it's in the past and if it's still kind of showing up in the present day, and there's emotional response or dis-ease to that, then it's worth having it addressed and cleared up,
Yep.
because why have anything draining the battery?
Yep.
You don't need a formal diagnosis of PTSD to say, hey, this thing's just kind of draining the battery. It's taking some of the energy out of what I can otherwise be being much more productive in my life, professionally and or personally.
Right. Right. Or your relationship too.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. All of these preoccupations are energy drains.
Yep.
It's kind of like, even if they're running in the background, think about your computer. If you have, you know 30 programs open and you're like, hey, my laptop's moving a little bit slow. Well, and where do you go for tech help? For me, I go to like an 8-year-old. They know more about technology than me. So I call my niece or nephew over and say, hey, what's going on? They say, you got all this stuff running in the background. And I say, well, I don't see it. All I see is what's on the screen.
Right.
And they say, well, it doesn't mean it's not affecting your laptop. Here, let's fix these things up and close these up. It's the same with the ultimate computer, the brain.
Gotcha.
Things could be running in the background. Maybe they're not in the forefront of attention because you're tending to whatever, but it doesn't mean they're not sucking away some energy and battery juice.
For now, I get it. And let me do some shout outs. Kim, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, let us know where you watch it from. Alexandra asked another question. How does rapid work as opposed to traditional therapy?
Oh, yeah. Well, great question, and one I'm so thankful that's been put forth. Rapid is this. When I'm working with people with rapid resolution therapy, we can get effective outcomes in as little as a single visit.
Wow.
One.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with tons and tons and tons of people. And not that you can't, I have to always make this distinction, not that you can't see me for more than one visit. I certainly do meet with people for more than one visit. But I will tell you, there are countless people who I've only ever met with one time, and it was resolved.
That's awesome. And then how many people really have elevated stress, PTSD? Is it?
Yeah, great question. As far as elevated stress, I don't know for that for certain. I would have to imagine that number is through the roof right now. PTSD, if I'm remembering right, I haven't looked at statistics in a while, but I think it was 7 to 8% of the population at any given point in time. If I have that number wrong, where you can fact check me is the DSM-5, Diagnostic and Statistic Manuals 5. There'll be prevalence data in there.
Okay. And I would imagine there are people that have PTSD that aren't documented, or, you know what I mean, saying, that are aware.
For sure. And part of the reason for that is because there's still, as far as we've come, there's still stigma.
Yep.
There's
Oh,
still stigma. And stigma is something that I am out to smash, because it prevents people. Kat, if a family member of yours said, "Hey, I'm having some chest pain," would you ever in your right mind say, "Well, we better keep that a secret and not go in and get help"? No, you'd be running into the doctor, probably the ER, urgent care or something. You don't think twice about it, right? There's no stigma associated with getting medical care for a medical emergency.
right.
Um, Yet there's still stigma with this, and it keeps people from getting help that they otherwise. So they're suffering in silence,
Yeah.
and we got to do something about that, because it's as simple as this: the brain is an organ, just like any other organ. Your brain, just like your heart, your kidneys, your liver, your lungs, can all experience malfunction.
Yep.
Your brain can also experience dis-ease, and it's just really as simple as that. I mean, there's no shame in it.
Right. And then Kim asked a question. She wants to know of what's going on right now with the race relationship. Do you think there's a possibility that some of that is PTSD that's showing up in the Black community?
Um, that the race, oh, sure.
You know, all this anxiety that's going on over, I think his name is Roger. Don't mark my words. Like, the guy who the cop, put his knee on, and
Yes.
then the lady who called the police with the dog. Like, all of this is just. It seems a little ridiculous. I'm embarrassed for the people that like are treating their humans so poorly, and you know who knows, the girl in the park could have PTSD. I mean, why would someone act like that? You know what I mean?
It's it's absolutely prevalent. And here's the thing: when you're talking about African American community, there's also some disparities in care and availability to care, that enter into the equation. So these are always things. I used to work in a community mental health center. So this was
Mhm.
a not-for-profit, working with people. Spent 12 years there, working with people who had very little. Great
Yep.
majority of the got a puppy there. um, Great majority of the population there had Medicaid, or they didn't have resources. And so it was an honor to serve people and make these services available for people without resources. But yeah, it absolutely enters into the equation.
Yeah, I would have to agree as well because I'm a veteran, and so I know other veterans, and I know that when times of anxiety can trigger things for people. You know,
For sure. By the way, thank you for your service.
thank.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're bringing up a great point, that we're seeing that going on too. So if COVID in and of itself, this pandemic,
Hmm.
isn't rising anxiety levels and stress and fear and uncertainty, then what's also happening is it's serving as a catalyst for people who had other stuff maybe kind of tucked away, and now that's bubbling up to the surface too. So people are struggling right now.
Right, right. And then, so just tell me about your business model. Do you offer like group programs? I know you had mentioned to me you have a master class that you're implementing, that you're launching, right? Or is it currently going?
Yeah, so that, well, I've had to, because of the pandemic, I've had to push my training dates back,
Yeah.
and reschedule all of those. Um, These are more so training dates, either training other professionals how to do this work that I do.
Oh, cool.
So we can have even more healing impact and touch more lives. And the master classes are more geared towards businesses and corporations who are looking to invest in their people, their
Yep.
employees, their teams, to help them. And then, of course, I still provide individual services to one-on-one to people who are saying, hey, I'm dealing with some stuff and I'd like to be experiencing life in a much better way. I provide services to folks one-on-one as well.
Okay. So do you have, without disclosing like the details or anything, do you have any success stories or, that you want to share with people? Because my thing is when you tell stories, people can relate, they can identify themselves.
Oh, sure. Let's see. Um, so one recently was a woman who this one's coming to mind because she actually put a recommendation on my LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
She wrote about it. So this was a woman who had experienced 40 to 45 years worth of shame and guilt. She was experiencing shame and guilt, and it was weighing her down. So her and I met. We did one visit, and at the conclusion of that, by the way, when she wrote the recommendation on my LinkedIn profile, it was 3 months after our visit.
Wow.
3 months later, so it was the results are enduring and lasting.
Yeah.
And she has no more shame, no more guilt. Her husband noticed a difference in her energy level, her positivity. Her boss noticed a difference in her. She's like blossoming at work and,
Yeah.
and getting all these opportunities. Her life is going tremendously better.
Yeah.
Worked with another guy who experienced all sorts of horrific abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, domestic violence in the home when he was a kiddo. And it had an impact in terms of drug use and destroyed relationships. And came in, and likewise, once he got clean and sober, so that the brain was optimized and ready for this type of intervention, came in. We met for about 85 to 90 minutes and done. We heard back from him 6 months later
Yeah.
at a recovery group that he was still clean and sober. His relationship had improved with his wife. He got active back in his community with his church. He was volunteering, and the trauma was just like not there. It wasn't bothering him one bit at all.
Yeah. Kim gave you a shout out. She said she thinks this is a great service to offer businesses for their people.
Oh,
At the end of the day, and you've got to invest in your people, especially if we all went through this together and then we want to move forward and we want to move forward in a positive way. You want your people to be healthy, and you do want them to be productive as well. Um,
well, it's the ultimate win-win, right? I mean, if you truly care about your people, you want them to be at peak performance. You want them to be emotionally well. You want them to be happy and satisfied in life.
yep.
If you if you don't so much care and all you care about is the bottom line, well, your people being healthy and well are going to be much more productive and contribute to a better bottom line.
Yep.
I mean, the cost to companies for emotional wellness, mental health issues, and addiction, and lost time, and FMLA, and productivity loss is in the billions every year. So it's just a win-win. It's good for humanity. It's good for people. It's good for the bottom line.
Yeah. So I'll give you a little scenario that I can relate to this. So my boyfriend has a son and we get him every other week and we'll get him tonight, and so we asked him, we said, hey, are you ready to go get a haircut, at the barber? Oh,
Hmm.
he's petrified. He's like, no, I'm not, no, not ready. And we're gonna, of course, honor, his what he wants, because on children, I think it's even more devastating.
Yeah, one tip to help with children, um, really, really, really limit their time with media exposure. the it's arousing so much anxiety and fear in adults.
Hmm.
Oh, what a cute puppy. um, you can imagine the impact it's having on children. So that's one thing you definitely want to be very mindful of and tune into, is to like way limit their exposure to that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah,
Because my guess is, my sense, Michael, is their interpretation is different than adults who are more educated and more, well versed, and so they'll probably catch snippets and interpret it in their own sense.
exactly. You got it. You
Yeah.
got
Yeah. And so we have another comment, and someone said, we need to know we are not alone. So, what you're talking about is really bringing light that there are a lot of people that are dealing with anxiety, right now.
so many. I mean, anxiety was one of the top three things that people were showing up in clinics for pre-pandemic.
Hmm.
And yet whoever made that comment, I'm so with you. It's one of the things I'm most passionate about, is getting the word out there, making it okay,
Yep.
smashing the stigma. I'm always putting out content on LinkedIn. A week ago or 2 weeks ago, recently I was on a mental health panel
Hmm.
for LinkedIn. I mean, if I could scream this from the mountains, uh,
Right.
I would do so. We gotta make it okay and normalize it. It's I'll say it again, if I may please. The brain is an organ,
Yep.
and I made one post on LinkedIn kind of like tongue in cheek and making fun. I said the post said something, or the video said something like, the meeting's about to begin. Check your gallbladder at the door. It's like it's it's ridiculous, right? And people get it, like, oh yeah, like you can ever do that.
Yeah.
Um, and so then I bridge that to the idea it's the same with your brain. If we
Fabulous.
think it's ridiculous to say it's time for the meeting in business and leave your gallbladder at the door, that's just crazy talk. It's
Right.
asinine.
Right.
It's the same with your brain. It goes with you wherever you go. We
Right.
got to make it okay.
Right, right. And I think, I guess, probably an underlining message would be is, if you don't deal with it, or if you have anxiety and you think you have slight anxiety and you're not dealing with it, and you think, I'm going to harbor it and put it away, I'm going to tuck it over here in this corner and it's going to go away, you know, I think what's happening, it's going to be a bigger issue later, because it will implode, right? Something's gonna happen.
Brilliant point, Kat. Brilliant point. Thank you for saying that. Absolutely, it will. You can't outrun it. I mean, at the end of the day, you look into the mirror and you see somebody, and I look into the mirror and I see somebody, and it's that person we can't run away from. We
Right,
might be able to mask it, we might be able to drown it out, we might be able to fool other people, we might be able to play the game, but at the end of the night, and you're looking at that person in the mirror, you're not going to fool that person, and it will
right.
catch you.
I agree. I agree. Thank you so much, Michael. So, what are some takeaways for people, and how can they get a hold of you? I'm going to pop up your LinkedIn in the meantime. But how can people get a hold of you?
So they can get a hold of me at my website, which is michaelcortina.com. Michael is Michael, michaelcortina.com. Right there, a link. I'm always on LinkedIn. I spend a good amount of time on LinkedIn. You can connect with me there, direct message me. I'm happy to talk with you and be of help in any way I can.
Okay, awesome. And I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much. And if anybody else who's watching, if you have any questions after this, definitely drop a line. I will tag Michael. I will also make sure I put his contact info on all of the live casts. And again, thank you so much for being on the show, Michael. I really appreciate it. And I hope that everybody who is watching can appreciate the information. I know we had a lot of good engagement. And if anybody had somebody that they think should watch this, please share it. Please, please, please share it.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think people understand the severity of hiding anxiety or not dealing with it. You know, it is a big deal.
It's a huge deal. Yes. And thank you so much for having me, Kat. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. And until next time, you got this, and I'll talk to you soon.